Leland.
All right, and with that, we bring in GOP financier and fundraiser Dan Palmer from the West Coast. Dan, good to see you. You think about this now. You've got Zinke out, Pruitt out, and Price out, all, shall we say, under fairly swampy conditions. Does this make it harder for Republicans as they try to push this narrative that the president is the one who's draining the swamp and his administration is going to be far different than the way so many others have operated?
I don't think so. I think we live in a world of accelerated change, and the White House is certainly not immune to that. The most significant change is the president has grown into the job and has more clarity as to who will be effective carrying his agenda. You know, I can't think of, maybe there's one example where the replacement wasn't an upgrade from the original holder of a position. But in general, this administration continues to move to greater and greater competency piece by piece. So I don't buy the narrative at all that this is a case of disarray or making it harder to govern. I don't buy that at all.
We were told by the president that he was going to only hire the best and the brightest. So does he need a do-over on a few of these?
Well, let's look at the chief of staff position to begin with. When Trump came into office, he was new to government, and he was, in fact, just finished a hostile takeover of the Republican Party, winning the nomination, winning the presidency. He was not a dyed-in-the-wool Republican, and so he hired Reince Priebus, who was the RNC chairman, as a bridge to the establishment in a hope to unify the party, and also as a channel of communication to fellow Wisconsinite Paul Ryan. You know, largely Reince failed in that, and so he brought in General Kelly to calm the waters in the White House and stem the leaks and get the trains to run on time, and he generally succeeded. But the job of the next White House chief of staff is to prepare this president to enter the 2020 cycle in better shape than he is today, and that involves fighting with a democratically led Congress. Mick Mulvaney is highly qualified, so I think in each instance the president has reached out to the tool he needs.
You know, you think about Priebus, who, by your admission, was really a failure in what he was brought on in terms of being the bridge to the legislative branch to try and bring in more of the president's agenda. General Kelly, for whatever order he brought to the White House, still, in terms of being able to deal with Congress and get things like repeal and replace of Obamacare passed, get immigration and border wall funding passed. Both of those have come up as failures. Now you've got Mick Mulvaney, who's going to also have to deal with a Democratic Congress that is really hostile when it comes to investigations.
No, I agree. But, you know, General Kelly did bring order. He did stem the leaks, and they were able to get the tax deal done, and they were able to get a couple of judges confirmed to the Supreme Court. So they did get some things done. But this is an entirely different regime now. You know, Kelly was presiding over a single-party control of government and trying to unify the party. Now it's combat. It's combat with the House led by Pelosi. They're going to be investigating and trying to keep the focus on a series of what really amount to political mistakes, not legal jeopardy, and try to sully the president with all that. Mulvaney, I think, is certainly capable of fighting that fight.
To your friends, fellow fundraisers, donors, what is their big concern about the next 2 years? If President Trump and Mick Mulvaney can't do blank, we lose in 2020, speaking as a donor. What is the blank?
I think the issue really is, to what extent will these investigations, whether they're conducted in the House or through Mueller, what will ultimately shake out? Is there some criminality that really touches the president? So far, we've seen that people like, you know, the ones who have been indicted and so forth, those are crimes unrelated generally to the president. Certainly, they've been brought against these parties to add pressure to them to testify, to try to box in the president. But so long as he stays free of actual criminal culpability, I think he can get back on message and go to the voters with his vision for example, border security, his vision now for free market-driven, you know, personal freedom of choice health care. These are the things that I think resonate with the public, and I think he'll meet with some success.
Well, as we heard from Lauren Blanchard, Obamacare is actually more popular right now in polls than the president himself. Dan Palmer from Los Angeles. Dan, thanks for getting up early. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Leland.
All right, Jillian.